Hello all and welcome back to another Doctor Who product review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at one of the latest Doctor Who Funko Pop releases, which is of course the KERBLAM Man from the Doctor Who Series 11 story, funnily enough also known as KERBLAM, as written by Pete McTighe. Now this is of course one of a number of releases that have just came out from Doctor Who Series 11, alongside a variant of the 13th Doctor in goggles from her first story, as well as the Pating, Reconnaissance Dalek, and of course Tim Shaw. Now for those of you that have been watching my channel for a number of years, you'll know that I have a little bit of a Marmite relationship with Funko Pops, especially the Doctor Who line, because Funko is a company that has a lot of different licenses for a lot of different TV shows and films, and more than often their merchandise can be incredibly overproduced in incredibly high volumes, and more than often has a lot of quality control issues, and generally overall can often not really be worth the recommended retail price. However, I must admit, upon the announcement of the Doctor Who Series 11 Funko Pops, I was actually quite excited because we finally get to see a little bit of variety. We have a few of the characters from Doctor Who Series 11 stretching beyond variants of just the Doctor or a companion that we have of course seen within the past of the Doctor Who Funko Pop line. So that is why in today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the KERBLAM Man, because it is one of the only KERBLAM pieces of merchandise that are in fact available on the market, and as I absolutely adore KERBLAM as a story, it only really made sense to give this product a go. Now naturally it is available from a number of different retailers in the UK, that does of course include Forbidden Planet, as well as a number of different toy shops. In fact it was very unusual, I went into one of my local shopping centres and in fact found a number of different shops stocking this, including the Entertainer, which I've got to give Funko credit where it's due. There is not many Doctor Who pieces of merchandise out at the minute that is actually in toy shops, so it's good to see that some Doctor Who merchandise is finally in toy shops around the UK, and not just Forbidden Planet and online. As per usual, the layout of the box is exactly the same to any other Funko Pop really. At the very top get the Funko Pop logo, along with Doctor Who, and this is of course product 900. In the very middle we do of course get a viewing window that does of course stretch along to the side of the box as well, where it does also repeat the title of the product, as well as a graphic of the KERBLAM Man at the very side. On the side of the box you do also get the number, as well as once again the KERBLAM graphic printed, and on the back of the box you do get a number of the different products available within this series, which I have previously mentioned. And as per usual, there is a little bit of company information on the bottom of the box, and just the logo repeated on the top. And that is pretty much it. So now let's take a look at the product itself. And as the saying in the story goes, if you want it, KERBLAM it. So here we have the KERBLAM Man out of the box, and I'm about to give quite a high piece of praise for a Funko Pop, to be honest. I really like it. I think that however is simply down to the design of the KERBLAM Man from the actual story. Had the design in the episode not been as good as it was, then this Funko Pop wouldn't have turned out as good as it is. I think there's something about the design that is so stereotypical Doctor Who. It's quite over the top, it's quite cheesy, having that rather dramatic smile, but also at the same time it's rather haunting and menacing, the way that it has those big bulging piercing eyes and that rather unsettling smile. There's something about it that is almost like a service robot that's happy to help, but also at the same time it could be a potential killer, and that is really nicely reflected within this Funko Pop design. If you are a fan of the episode, then this is a must, to be quite honest, because we don't really have much KERBLAM merchandise, and had KERBLAM been an episode within the 10th or 11th Doctor era, without a doubt this story would have been one that would have been heavily merchandised on. We would have had 5.5 action figures, we would have had t-shirts, and this Funko Pop would have been one of many pieces of merchandise from KERBLAM. I think that one of the reasons why I've not been much of a fan of the previously released Doctor Who Funko Pops is that they've been posed in a rather boring manner. However, a theme of the majority of the Series 11 Funko Pops so far is that they've actually been posed in a way that is reminiscent of the character from the actual series, making them look a bit more visually interesting, and a perfect perfect example of this is the sculpting of the KERBLAM parcel that the KERBLAM Man robot is holding. This is a really lovely design, of course very easy to do as well, naturally, because Funko Pops are just cheaply made plastic. However, I think the design that has been painted, or at least printed over the top of this, is rather impressive. As you can see on the box itself, it has been given a light red base colour, and then we do also have the KERBLAM icon around the side of the box, which does stretch around as well to the very side, and then we do even have the KERBLAM logo that has been printed on the side of the box as well in a rather sharp manner. It nicely sets off the figure itself, and it makes it look like it's about to deliver a parcel, much like how it would have within the actual story. And of course, another rather nice attention to detail is the sculpting of the hands. As you can see, these have been given a rather angular design, including two fingers there that have been split up into a number of different sections, as well as of course the thumbs in there as well. As for the actual costume itself, there isn't really too much to talk about here. Of course, the entirety of the Funko Pop body has been sculpted in your standard dark blue plastic, and we do have a few details that have been added over the top of this, including a few red highlights included on the side of the trousers, as well as highlighting the outer line of the pockets, as well as the cuffs, and of course the pockets as well on the top half of the chest of the KERBLAM Man. And if you look carefully just under the neck section, there is also the paint application of a slightly lighter blue on the shirt underneath, as well as the inclusion of a red tie. There is also a few suggestions of creases and wrinkles within the material, especially around the elbow sections, as well as on the back of the costume itself. We have a few more ripples in the design, as a divide at the back of the jacket. So it's just your standard cheap plastic really, with a few details added over the top. However, a nice representation of the costume seen throughout the actual story. And then of course, to finish this off, we do have the boots at the bottom of the figure, which have been painted in a glossy black with a few slight suggestions of detail, including the panelling of the shoe, as well as a few laces in there as well. And now moving up to the top of the figure, as per usual, we do have your standard Funko Pop cuboid head, which has been given a rather interesting design, and once again replicates the costume well compared to what is seen within the actual story. And as I was mentioning earlier, there is something about the KERBLAM Man design that fits this design of Funko Pop incredibly nicely, of course, because in the story itself, this is a very basic design and therefore works well within the Funko Pop format. However, as I was also saying earlier, it does look rather creepy indeed. So we do have a standard skin tone paint application which has been added over the top of this, but what is a really lovely attention to detail is we don't just have a flat face, we do have a few angular sections, especially around the eyes. As you can see, this is slightly more concaved than usual, and the eyes are actually bulging out of the face a little bit, once again effective to the rather larger button eyes as seen throughout the actual story, as well as of course the pupils there in the very middle, which have been painted black, and we do of course have the blue in there as well to represent the main section of the eye. And then around this we do also have the inclusion of a few suggestions of panelling, including this connection piece around the side of the nose, as well as this section around the mouth, which is rather nicely represented. Once again, this has been sculpted into the actual face, so that means that the teeth are actually set back a little bit to create a rather nice sense of depth, and this has been given a white highlight added over the top. And another rather nice attention to detail is this slight little black swash added at the bottom, very much once again like how they had within the actual story. Moving to the sides of this, we do also have the suggestion of the hat band, which does of course rather tightly sit around the chin of the figure. However, unfortunately, this is where the paint application does let it down a little bit. This isn't really that sharp. Do have a few bits of loose paint application around the side, making it look rather messy. And then we do also have the sculpting of the ears in there as well, which I must admit are in fact a rather impressive design. The rest of the head has just been given a black paint application to present that of hair, and we do also have a few further bits of panelling around the opposite side. And then of course, to finish this off, we do get the KERBLAM Man hat on the very top, which once again, to correspond with the rest of the costume, has been given once again a dark blue design along with a red band that does also go around the bottom of this. The cap itself has been given a glossy black along the very front, and we do also have the inclusion of the KERBLAM emblem, which has been given a rather lovely looking gold highlight. Once again, considering that this is a Funko Pop, this has been rather sharply painted, so I am quite impressed with that. However, we do have a few runny bits of paint application around the side of the red headband, which is a bit of a shame. However, you can't really expect too much for 10 quid, I suppose. And of course, due to this product being a Funko Pop, the articulation is about as limited as my will to live currently. So it turns around 360, and that is basically it. And also due to this being a Funko, I'd just like to give them credit to the fact that this can actually stand up unaided. Well done, Funko, you've created a figure that can stand up by itself. Bonus points. The KERBLAM Man is a prime example as to why the Doctor Who Funko Pop line should continue to create monsters and villains in the future, and certainly make it a priority over endless variations of Doctor, because visually these are a lot more interesting and a lot more appealing, and certainly have something about them that are worth buying over endless variations of incarnations of the Doctor that we have got many times before, especially given this current era of Doctor Who, which doesn't really have too much merchandise for it as it is. So the KERBLAM Man is without a doubt one of the best Doctor Who Funko Pops that has been released so far, and of course naturally, if you like the line, you will no doubt absolutely love this release. So overall, for the Doctor Who Series 11, the KERBLAM Man Funko Pop, I really love it. I think that it is a really nice addition to the Doctor Who Funko Pop line, and that is simply because I love the story itself, and therefore, naturally, I was very excited to finally see a figure in some form of the KERBLAM Man, and because of the simplistic nature of Funko Pops, as well as the design of the KERBLAM Man from the TV show itself, this Funko works incredibly well. It is a great contrast between rather cute looking but also quite creepy at the same time. There's something about this figure that does look quite adorable, however naturally due to this being a Funko Pop there is a few issues in there. The sculpting is quite nice and by far one of the most interesting Doctor Who Funko Pops, but due to this being a Funko it does have a few paint application issues. In particular around the sides of the hat where we have the headband itself, that could be a little bit sharper, and also I've seen a number of different KERBLAM Men Funko Pops where the eyes and the mouth have also been a little bit off, which due to the simplistic nature, once again, of the design of these products, those ever so slight paint application errors do make all the difference because it stands out quite a lot when on display because of how block in colour these figures are. So generally overall, if you like KERBLAM and like Funko Pops, this is an absolutely perfect product for you. And also due to it only being around £10, it does make quite an ideal gift. It's not too expensive. So it's certainly good if you're looking for a gift to buy somebody, or just really want to annoy someone who really hates Funko Pops. So thank you for watching this review, I hope you have enjoyed it, and do stay tuned for more Doctor Who product reviews in the future, where we'll in fact be taking a look at another Doctor Who Funko Pop release, which will be the 13th Doctor in goggles from the Woman Who Fell to Earth, because once I found one, I decided to buy the other because I had like a deal on, therefore it only made sense to buy that one whilst buying this one to save £3.50. So thanks for watching this review, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.